Question.
Yes.
Everyone's asking the question that you asked, and that is, when are you going to get a legal opinion on whether she can speak?
They couldn't tell us. It's solicitor-client privilege. In other words, we're not going to find out. I mean, you were there. Do you think they're taking this seriously, the Liberals? Do you think knowing about the ancestry of Mr. Lametti is helping Canadians understand what happened and what could be a very serious abuse of our criminal justice system? Do you get the sense that this is being taken seriously? I can't answer. Will Ms. Wilson-Raybould be able to say her truth? Isn't that what we're here to find out? We don't have a legal opinion. It doesn't sound like we're going to get one, so we don't know whether she's going to do what we see in American TV dramas, plead the fifth 15 times in a row. We have a duty to Canadians here in the Justice Committee to find out what happened. These are serious allegations. Do you think the Liberals were taking it seriously?
No. Well, absolutely. I mean, this is just a farce. It's an absolute farce. It's been a farce from day one. In terms of the questions that were posed by Liberal MPs, it sounded like a first date, getting to know David Lametti, as opposed to asking the questions that are really important about potential political interference with a prosecution.
But what do you make of, one of you made the point that they have several hundred lawyers at the Justice Department, and he cannot give you an answer.
Well, he basically gave an answer without giving an answer, and that is that there's going to be no opinion because it's also very complicated. Well, it really isn't that complicated. And if the Prime Minister has nothing to hide, then he can waive solicitor-client privilege.
Mr. Rankin, you also raised the issue of whether Mr. Lametti should recuse himself.
Yes, I asked that question. I'm prepared to take him at his word. I found it troubling, but I heard his explanation. I have an open mind. He claimed that he gave those comments that there's nothing here in the report, etc., at a time before we had more information on the file. I have an open mind on that subject. But what I am concerned about is hiding behind solicitor-client privilege, which many legal experts say doesn't even apply in these circumstances. And if it does, somebody can waive it. I asked him, who can that be? Who's going to waive it? He couldn't even answer that. So how can we get to the truth here?
Mr. Cooper, what about the question, I mean, your colleague Lisa Ray asked the question basically about whether or not after September 4th, after the decision had been made by the Director of Public Prosecutions, would then any communication with the Attorney General be unacceptable because she's now permanently got her AG hat on?
Well, that's right, and the minister refused to answer that, and it's very clear. The case law is very clear, including the Krieger decision of the Supreme Court, which incorporates the Shaw Cross principles, that the Attorney General and the Attorney General alone is to make any decision without any interference, any kind of pressure, and the fact that David Lametti didn't answer that, I think, again, demonstrates that he came here and was rather evasive, not willing to open up, not willing to answer some of the basic questions.
No, I have a question. I want to build on the the answer to that question. September 4th, or I think it was the 4th, the Director of Public Prosecutions writes to SNC-Lavalin saying, we're not going to do any kind of deferred prosecution agreement. We're going to treat this as a criminal matter. 1. 2, we then have a meeting later with the Prime Minister and Ms. Wilson-Raybould on SNC-Lavalin. And then we have in December another meeting with the Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister, Mr. Butts, and her. Those are facts. Now, what possibly could be discussed properly after the decision had already been made, saying, back off, we are not going to do a deferred prosecution agreement in these circumstances? That decision was for the DPP or the AG if she wanted to wait. Nobody did waive it.
And then the other important point is that I think it was on December 9th, the DPP then went back and reiterated that they were not going to negotiate.
Thank you.